Well, yes. I was born and raised on a farm in Denmark where we have dairy cows, and I'm the only son, so I was kind of supposed to take over the farm, and I was very happy to do that. And I was educated as a farmer here in Denmark. And then, but when I was 25 years old, I realized that I had this eye disease, so I could not drive the tractors and all that. So I decided that I need to do something else, and that's how I uh, in a long life got into this tech world and ended up developing the Be My Eyes app. So yeah. It's a very long story.
Okay. So you are telling that you developed this at the age of 25. So all the childhood you have been a normal vision, you had a normal vision. So was that emotional break, a heartbreak or something? How did you deal with that when you got to know that you have this vision problem?
Well, it was emotional, but also kind of a relief because I I knew there was something, and then when you realize, okay, this is actually what it is, then that's nice to know. It's not nice to know that you will actually go blind. So it was very mixed feelings I had there, but well, I was kind of. It was also an opportunity to kind of try a new thing, and I'm kind of a very optimistic person. So and it was not that I kind of lost any vision from day to day. It's very slowly. And now, even now, 30 years later, I do have some vision left. So it has been really slowly disappearing. But now I only have like 1 or 2 degrees of vision left. So now I know it's kind of ending, but it's now I am very comfortable, and also I know a lot of totally blind people, and I know they have a good life, so it is possible, and I have a wife and 2 wonderful kids, so I think I'm doing pretty good. So
So it's all about accepting the fact, right?
yeah. And
Yeah.
that's the most important thing. I mean, you cannot fight it, so you have to kind of learn to live with it, and that's very easy to say and not that easy to do. But I have had the fortune of having a long time to kind of adjust, so that has been a good thing for me.
I would like to know about the journey in technical prospect. So from 2012, it's 2022 now. What are
Mm.
the technical enhancements that you saw all this while?
Well, you can see the basics of the app is exactly the same as they were in 2015. You can, as a blind person, you can open the app and you can find a volunteer who can see for you. Uh, but of course, there has been a major tech development around Be My Eyes, but maybe the most important thing that we have seen is that so much more availability, so many more people has gotten a smartphone. I mean, in 2012, it was only the kind of rich people and the most tech savvy people. And now it is also grandmothers and all kind of people that has a smartphone, and they have also become so easy to use, and maybe that's mainly because of the iPhone that is so simple and easy to use, and then Android has also become very easy to use. So that is the reason why we can actually help blind people. all over the world. And the second most important thing for Be My Eyes has been the development of what in iPhones is called voice over, and in Android is called talkback, which is the system that allows completely blind people to use smartphones. So iPhones are accessible for blind people, which kind of surprises sighted people. How can a blind person at all use a smartphone? There's no buttons there. But because of the built-in system, blind people can actually use smartphones, and that, of course, is the reason why they can also use Be My Eyes. So that's super important. But basically, the Be My Eyes app has not changed that much over these years. We have developed a feature called specialized help, where you can get assistance from companies if you need a specific kind of help that a volunteer cannot do. Then you can call like Microsoft or Google or LinkedIn or Spotify directly and get someone from that company to help you if you are a blind person using the Be My Eyes app. That is kind of the new development we have. So.
Do you, and knowing the minutes of this technology, do you think we can develop such apps for other kind of disabilities also, like say for hearing impairs? Be My Ears, can we develop that through the same technology?
And I have been so lucky that I have been asked about this a number of times, and I have always said that because I am visually impaired, I am kind of an expert in this field. But if you can be inspired about what I have done to help another group, and you are yourself in that group, I would be very proud that if Be My Eyes can inspire other people to do other things. But I think it's very, very important that apps like this are developed with the people that you are trying to serve. I mean, some engineer can get all kind of good ideas, but working with real people who has this issue is super important, and that's exactly what we did. We when I came up with this idea and we had to raise the money, we rented a office in the institution for blind people in Denmark, so we could just open the door and grab the first person going by that would most likely be a blind person and say, "Can you please try to sign in here?" or something like that. Whatever we were working on, so we were working closely with blind people throughout our development, and I think that was also super important.
Like suppose now I want to make Be My Ears, so how can I see my journey starting from zero?
Well,
how did you gather people? How did you gather funds?
For me, it has been extremely important to have a team around this idea. Because, as I said, I'm not a tech guy. I'm a good salesperson, but I'm not good at keeping track of the numbers and the books and all that. So it's so important that you find people that like your idea and want to help you. And then not simply, but to try to raise some funding, because it will cost quite a lot of money when you need to have professional developers to develop something for you. And that is just a matter of fact that you need to have some funding there. So the journey is to get some awareness around your idea. Can you hear me still?
Yes. Please continue.
Okay. Yeah. So the journey for you is to get some awareness around the idea and find some people who can join your team. And the next thing is to raise some money, and the next thing is to find the right developers that are who have a extended interest in this area, because it is so important that the developers they like what they are working on. And I was very pleased that our first developers was so whoa, we can actually do this for blind people. That's a challenge, and let's look into that, and so on. Because in 2012 there was very few apps that were made for blind people, and there was even fewer that was using video technology. So we had to find someone who was into blindness accessibility and also knew something about video conferencing and so on. So it took quite a while to find the right people. But when we did that, they were very excited about working on this project.
What was your plans or strategies to gather the fund? How was that journey?
The plan for
gathering funds in the starting when you started this app?
In the beginning, we basically wrote applications for some of the biggest foundations in Denmark. And that's kind of a slow process. And then we also tried some crowdfunding. That's also interesting, but it's also very difficult. But in the end, it was one of the biggest foundations here in Denmark, called Velux. And they make windows for houses, and they are very supportive of new ideas, and they gave us the first money so we could get started. So it was a combination of applications and crowdfunding, and to say that the Federation of the Blind in Denmark, they also supported the Be My Eyes project from day one, also with some finances, not a whole lot, but it was very important to get their support.
So I think if someone is supporting you, especially in financial terms, there is a basic need of trust. Like they should trust you what you are doing, and you if you will be able to do it. So how did you manage to win that trust of people?
Well, I think it was more they didn't know me, so it was more the idea that they trusted. I think they could see how excited we were about this idea. And again, having the Federation of the Blind in Denmark support you gives you a lot of trust. So that is very important.
And so how did you have that trust in yourself that you will be able to help so many people out there?
Well, that's a good question. I think that's something from my childhood. And also being kind of optimistic as a person. I think that's kind of shines through. You can also be too optimistic. But I think I have kind of the right level of optimism.
Okay. Now coming to the pandemic, the people who reach out to Be My Eyes for help or the volunteers. So what change have you seen in the kind of help they seek before pandemic and now during COVID times?
Well, that's kind of an interesting one, because when this whole COVID thing started, we could see that the numbers, of course, were rising, but then after a very short time, they kind of came down again, and we were wondering about that, and we don't have exact data on this, but we had learned to know that a lot of blind people simply had to move back home or move in with their sisters or have some friend move into their house or something, simply because it was almost impossible for a blind person to go out shopping and all that. So I think the families kind of gathered more together to help their blind loved ones.
Sir, since I saw Hindi and many other Indian languages too on Be My Eyes, so I would like to know from you, how is the response of Indian users on Be My Eyes?
Well, I think it's pretty much the same as everywhere. That our users are happy that they can get assistance in their own language. We do have some people who get really surprised when they see, oh, I can also get in my own language. I thought this was only English and Spanish and so on. So that's a pleasant surprise. And also, you see, I come from Denmark, and Denmark is a very small country. We have some Danish-speaking volunteers in the US and in Australia. And if you are a blind person in Denmark and you need help 2 o'clock at night, we don't call anybody in Denmark 2 o'clock at night. But then we call these Danish people who live far from home. And I spoke to 2 of them, and they said it's so nice when you get this little conversation from a random person from back home. So they kind of enjoy these short conversations, and that makes it possible for us to support our users in Denmark 24/7 without disturbing our Danish volunteers in the middle of the night. And of course, the same goes for the Indian volunteers. I mean, we have Hindi-speaking people all over the world, and we also have Hindi-speaking volunteers all over the world. Maybe not all over, but at least in all time zones. So we can easily find for instance, a Hindi-speaking volunteer for you, no matter what time of the day you need assistance, which I think is pretty amazing. That we have 5.5 million volunteers. So even we have 185 different languages. When you have millions of volunteers, you can always find someone somewhere speaking whatever language you need.
When you are speaking about these people talking to strangers, I am just having this feeling that Be My Eyes must be a reason for few of the strongest friendships in the world, which we don't know, which no one knows, but there may be people connected through this app and then developed a strong friendship, a strong bond. So is there any kind of a story also, so you know?
Well, I have, you see, Be My Eyes is, and this is very important, it is an anonymous service. So you, as a blind person, you can make a call and you don't know who the volunteers is, and the volunteers don't know who you are. And this is very important because sometimes you don't want anybody to know about this. And of course, you are telling a person what they should look for, but they don't know you. So it doesn't matter this. But of course, sometimes you get a volunteer and you get into this conversation and you, how is the weather in Austin and how is the weather in Delhi and all that. And suddenly you have been talking for half an hour. And it is not against any rules to exchange phone numbers, but it is definitely not something we encourage. But when 2 people talk together, they can do whatever they want. Of course, I have a story about a guy from Mexico who is blind, and he is teaching other blind people how to cook. And when he was about to do that, he needed a pair of eyes to make sure he had the right ingredients for his cooking class. And then he made a Be My Eyes call, and it was a chef from the US who took the call, and he immediately got very interested in this cooking class project for blind people. And now they have a weekly conversation about what he is teaching next time. And this chef in the US is giving him ideas, and they are talking about how can we do this and also. So that's super, nice.
Wow, so coming back to India, we were talking about India. So is there any plan going in your mind or to promote this app amongst Indian users on Indian social media platforms or something?
Well, with the help of you guys, I hope that we can expand the knowledge about Be My Eyes, and that people can try it out and see if it is something they want to use. Being a free app, it's totally free to use the Be My Eyes app. But that, of course, also limits our budget. So we don't have a marketing budget. So we very much rely on the word of mouth, and that is how we have gotten to. I think it was close to 18,000 blind and low vision people in India, and 59,000 volunteers in India speaking different languages. But I also know that India is a very big country, so we can improve that. I also realize that even the service is free. It's not free to get a smartphone, not at all. And we have very much respect for that. But also we can only do what we can do, and so I hope that also blind people in India who live in remote areas will be able to get maybe not the newest iPhone, but some cheaper version of Android or an older iPhone, which you can also use when you are using a Be My Eyes. So
in this world where we are like looking for funds, we are looking for something in return. So if you can share any experience or any story somebody has shared with you as a volunteer, they had the meaningful experience at Be My Eyes.
Well, it's kind of funny because it's we have many super short calls where people just need to find the expiry date on something, or they have dropped something on the floor, or they just need to know what color is my shirt, and so on. And some of these calls are maybe only 20 seconds or something. But people who volunteer and take these calls, they get this amazing feeling that they are actually helping a real person with something that is important. We all like to know that we are looking good, and at least we try to, and make sure that your shirt is clean when you are going out on a date or a job interview or something is super, super important for your confidence. And if you in 20 seconds can help a random person make sure that they feel good the rest of the day, you will also feel good the rest of the day. We get hundreds of emails from volunteers who simply say, thank you for allowing me to help another person in this smart technology way. Some of them even said, finally, I can use my way too expensive iPhone for something useful. That we had a guy in the US who heard some strange noises in his backyard, and he that's strange. And then he called Be My Eyes, and then the volunteer said, yeah, that's your dog in the backyard. I don't have a dog. The blind guy said, oh, but there's a dog out there. Does it look friendly? Yeah, it does. And then he went out and he could get hold of the dog, and they were able to read the tag that the dog had around the neck with the phone number of the owner of the dog, and he was able to call the owner, and he came and collected the dog. And that is, of course, not a common call, but that is a experience the volunteer will never ever forget.
Thank you so much, Hans, joining for us, and we are in the mission mode to promote this.